live. Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you are fantastic this Turbo Tuesday. And thank you, those of you on YouTube, for using this opportunity to archive this 139th episode. Can you believe it, guys? This is 139 back-to-back Tuesdays unfadingly since my first one. How crazy is that? Turbo Tuesdays, yes, and it's so weird. What am I surrounded by here? I have an EV 935 we converted. I have the new Taycan Turbo S courtesy of Rusnak and a twin turbo Cayman up there on the lift. So it is indeed a Turbo Tuesday. We love to go for a ride in that Taycan versus your 935 EV. That's a great question. So here's my experience so far. So I just came from Pasadena with the Taycan Turbo S. Now you may think, wait a minute, it's electric. Why does it have turbo? Well, Porsche has this really cool concept that turbocharging is just like a trim level, like a high horsepower trim level, and it doesn't necessarily have to denote having those spinny things, or better yet, a compressor and turbine combined in a housing that can allow us to push air into an internal combustion engine. So that being said, hence the Turbo S, and it's really fast. The launch control is amazing in this thing. So amazing, I need to find a way to initiate that in my K3V right here. So compared to the K3V, in acceleration from a rolling start, the K3V destroys this. Of course, it's much lighter, like half the weight of the Taycan. Operates at 400 volts, so 800 volts is very, very appealing from what Porsche has done with this. And that is a good opportunity as well. Hey, Shell, good seeing you. And above and beyond that, of course, the Taycan is much more luxurious. It has things like AC and ventilated seats and power steering. And kind of took me a little bit of getting used to turn on by pressing a button on the left. While on my 935, I put the key on the left. The shifters on the dash, which you kind of actuate upwards to go into reverse and downwards to drive, and midway for neutral and a button to put in park, while mine has a lever to initiate gear forward and backward. So there's some changes there. So as a daily, the Taycan Turbo S is fantastic. It is amazing as a daily. Also has 4 seats opposed to 2. As a weekend, cool, fun vehicle, of course, the K3V is amazing, or as a track build as well. So what would be the ideal scenario for a Porsche file? The Taycan S, Turbo S, as a daily driver, and once in a while track car because it handles extremely well. And I'm going to do a review on my YouTube channel, so if you haven't subscribed, go there and subscribe. I'm going to do a proper review on this, and I'm going to cover everything from how to charge your phone in it, which is very clever, to creature comforts and performance. And then, if you wanted something that's really cool for the weekend, to have a good time and go to events and meets, of course, the K3V is the one to do, you know? They're both similarly priced in terms of a newer vehicle and a repurposed, upcycled Porsche. So it hovers in the mid-200s, which is pretty nice, in this particular trim. Now, if you wanted more creature comforts with a K3V and more refinement, then of course that adds a little bit to the price as well, you know? The reason tune, and there's something I want to talk about with tuning, and that's the proper way and the improper way of tuning. So to tune, to allow me as an enthusiast to tune your vehicles, I need to have the best equipment. So that means not having an inertia-based dyno, having something that is more hydraulic-based, like the Dynapack, which I used. I know it's more expensive for operators to buy that dyno, but it's well worth it because it allows me to do partial throttle tuning. For example, kind of fit what came in here had a base map in its car, had short and long-term trims that in combination was up to 11%. And I was able to, in partial throttle, get him close to 1% correction in those climate conditions, and made his car run much better. His vehicle actually had an opportunity to have a happier ECU. And by far, he will have even better gas mileage because the ECU doesn't have to hunt and keep trying to correct so rapidly back and forth. Now, I can only do this with this kind of equipment. I cannot do that in terms of remote tuning. It'd be very difficult. I can look at short-term trims and whatnot, but it won't be allowed me to do that steady state. Now, here's something else that's more interesting. For his vehicle, for his kind of fit, I was able to, based upon the base map, in the lower RPMs, I added about 2 degrees of timing. In the mid-range, it was only about 1. Upper mid-range, I barely touched it, and up top, I had to pull away almost 2-3 degrees. Now, how did I know to do that? Because on the dyno, I was able to, as sensitive as my dyno is, see what the difference is made for me in terms of power. Now, it didn't put him anywhere near knock, because some remote tuners will push your car till it knocks like crazy and buck off 2 degrees, but normally that's not where your engine is most efficient. So a dyno allows me to optimize ignition timing very nicely. Now, I can do that remote tuning. It gets even crazier with cam timing. So you know how some of the cars have VVTi, variable cam timing on the intake, some have them as elegantly on the exhaust as well. You have the K series, some of the 2JZ VVTIs, you have the newer Lexi, you have Porsches, you have Mercedes-Benzes. It is impossible to be able to know if you're going in the right direction on a street tune or a remote tune. You need a dyno to be able to quantify those changes in cam control to give you a wide torque band. So what does that mean, guys? I wouldn't support, if I were in your position, I wouldn't support those individuals who are remote tuners. It doesn't do any good thing for you. It's better to find a reputable dyno in your local vicinity. If need be, ship your car far away. It's well worth the power and reliability than trying to, you've seen those memes online, someone doing a street tune and the engine blows up and the hood flies off in front of them. It's dangerous, you know? Have I tuned a VG30 ET? Yes, I have, sir. And, oh, Puerto Rico's in the house, courtesy of eLob79. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Hello, Sabrina VDP. Thank you so much for joining this Tech Tuesday, my 139th episode. Guys, let me tell you what's crazy about this 139th episode, right? A Tuesday fell on Christmas. Tuesday fell on my daughter's birthday. Tuesday fell on New Year's. Tuesday fell on the day my son was born. Tuesday fell on, thank you, Ricky. Tuesday fell on so many, on my anniversary. Tuesday fell on so many crazy days, but I still unfailingly, even when I was traveling to NorCal, even when I was filming with Netflix out in Rochester, New York for, what was that Charlize Theron show? Hyperdrive. I still took time to do my Tech Tuesday, and this is the 139th episode. Why do manufacturers make it so difficult to tune your ECU? Carlitha Rose, that's a great question. So I'll refer you to a good friend of mine, Ralph Gilles. He's the head of global design for FCA, that's the Fiat Chrysler group, automobiles group. So they do everything from the Maserati to the Chrysler to the Dodge, you know, Fiat, all these wonderful brands. And he's the head of global design, or global head of design. He told me a story about how the challenges that they had as a manufacturer, especially in the diesel market, was just ridiculous. Well, people would bring in their cars and say, hey, I don't know what happened, the engines are blowing up, the heads are lifting on these diesel cars, we don't know what's going on. And the engineers scratching their head like, did we design a bad Cummins engine? What is going on? Why are these diesels coming in like crazy? Well, what happened was these tuners were pushing boosts like crazy because it was very easily accessible to grab the ECU and then change things around. And when something goes wrong, they flash it back to stock and send the dealer and say, I don't know what happened. So it ended up being a very big expense for the manufacturer in this case, and that's the same thing. Manufacturers have no idea what you're going to do with their cars. They don't know the quality or the experience level of these tuners who are going in and changing things. So that being said, they have to make it very challenging for people like us to go inside. So Bosch did wonderful things to be able to do some really clever encryption, but still people are able to jailbreak the Type R, and even now Honda does it in a way that you can jailbreak it digitally. With the Hyundai, they went to town. They really, I've never seen this. Other Hyundais I can flash the OBD, but with the Veloster N, with so much potential, it's a shame, but they really locked the crap out of it. So they made it very challenging. So what I'm now doing is now bypassing that encryption that exists via the OBD port and going directly to the boards. And it's scary. It's not very good if you don't know what you're doing. You have to have a very good knowledge of circuitry to be able to do that, which is great. Jordan Aguilar is asking a great question, Type R or Veloster N. So for peak power, because we've had, man, I have 400 wheel, 400 pound-foot of torque Type R's coming here getting tuned on E30. So for sheer power, man, the Type R is a formidable setup. And when you drive the Type R, it feels, I'm telling you, if I close your eyes and put you in Type R, you had no idea what you're driving, and you tracked it, you would not believe you were driving a front-wheel drive. It has amazing capabilities. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't like the boy racer look of the Type R. It's a little too flashy inside, lots of red, lots of VTEC, lots of hot boy in there. The exterior is a bit too ricey for me. There's just too much going on. So it's almost like thinking of the Golf R as the other extreme. That's a little too tame, and the Golf R is a very formidable competitor for the Type R, but it's a little too plain. The Veloster N has just the right touch, as in it's not too racer, it's not too tame, it's not like crazy hot boy like the Type R, it's not too plain like the Golf R, it's right there. Just the right amount of elegance. The interior is nice, the little blue seat belts give it just a little nice touch. The doors are, are solid, the steering is solid, very European Beamer-like in the feel of the steering and the shifting. The backfire or crackle in the back is a very nice touch. And here's something I really, really like, as the same with the Golf R. You can customize your own modes. So with a Type R, when you're in N mode, that's it, you're in N mode. It stiffens up the steering wheel, stiffens up the steering, and the suspension is really different. Great stuff, right? But you cannot customize it. The Veloster N I can have all the benefits of the N mode, which is like my R mode and Type R, R plus mode, but I can soften up my suspension. So I can have the exhaust note and the power and the boost and the tube kapop that the temporary raw was talking about, you know? You can do that and adjust your suspension to be soft. So you don't have that really stiff suspension as you're enjoying your modes. So it's really more configurable, more customizable with the Veloster N. And guess what? I own one. So I own a Veloster N just because of those reasons. I really like, it's really, really nice. But all your YT says, what do you prefer, all-wheel drive EV or rear-wheel drive EV? So I'm too early to say that. So what do I mean by that? Of course, the Taycan here, and also recently I had the EV400 Jaguar I-Pace last week, were all all-wheel drive, and just the launch is amazing. The 935 K3V is a rear-wheel drive, and it rotates very nicely, does great burnouts, moves tires, really, really cool. You can drift it very nicely, it's cool. But I'm throwing away a lot of energy in terms of losing adhesion, right? So, give me a few months. My goal is to build another 911, combine that with all-wheel drive technology similar to this, and see how they both compare. I have a feeling that I will love the straight line performance of the all-wheel drive, but I feel like I'll love the tossability of the rear-wheel drive, but we'll see, yeah? That Porsche EV you have is next level, says Ray Chavez. Thank you so much. I appreciate that indeed. It's so good to be able to get exposed to this. Because guys, I get this a lot. I have so many people who keep speaking ill of the EV projects, which is weird. And I asked them, hey, have you driven, majority of them, have you driven an EV? No, I haven't. So I was the same way. I judged EV technology based upon what I thought, being that it was very popular to see a Prius or maybe an early generation Tesla. And then hearing from other enthusiasts that it has no soul and it's just timid and it's for tree huggers and it's horrible. To be honest with you, that has not been my experience. I was forced to build this K3V electric 935 Porsche because I noticed that my partners from Honda, from Hyundai, from Porsche were all going towards this technology. And if I want to continue to be a tuner, I need to embrace this new technology because it is the future. So I built my first one and I was blown away. It didn't help either that I had influences from people like Michael Bream or like Ian, who's the voice actor, or I had influences from David Little, who's my bank manager, or even Acura sending me a ton of NSXs, which were a combination of EV motors and petrol engines. It didn't help that they kept doing that to me. I'm like, oh my God, there's something here. And when I finally built mine, that's about 2,600 pounds and 636 horsepower, it's amazing. It's a rocket. It's faster than this in top, just cruising. It's the launch control of the all-wheel drive Taycan Turbo S that's amazing. And above and beyond that, you sit in the car, it is 100% Porsche. It is 100% Porsche, you know? It's just the fit and finish. Once again, I talk about this a lot. The current market leader in EV mobility, if you sit in the cars, they're cool, but they don't have the fit and finish like what Porsche has or Jaguar has. So Porsche did a great job in making this car all Porsche. And it feels like a Porsche, it smells like a Porsche. And even my own creation here with the 935 smells and it feels like a classic Porsche. It feels like a classic when we do the steering wheel, but when you step on the throttle, it is a whole different monster, which is great, you know? Porsche Carrera with custom turbos, AEM Infinity, or stock ECU tuning, says Jade Chalk. Well, if you are a fan, as I am, of fail-safes, you kind of want to do an AEM Infinity. And when I say that, I'm talking about cars, let's say you're converting like that Cayman up there, it's like a track-based vehicle that's being converted from petrol engine that is non-turbo to turbo. With the AEM Infinity, I have the capability of doing everything from launch control to closed-loop feedback in terms of O2 sensing to closed-loop NOx sensing per cylinder to be able to do things in terms of boost cut. I can also adjust boost based upon air temps ingested into the engine. I can do boost cut based upon, or boost control based upon ethanol content. I can do flex fuel. I can do so many things, and all the features are already open on the AEM Infinity. Now, what if I do have already a newer 991 turbo? AEM Infinity would control that because it's direct injection. I would then turn to a cob unit. And the cob access port allows me to do amazing things as a custom tuner to make things happen with that particular assembly. And you can make 900 horsepower just like that. It's really amazing. I mean, of course, you want to have supplementing components, but you can really have a good time tuning a cob. So it depends on the application. Do you have a dream build that you haven't had a chance to do yet? Yes, I do, Z31 Rose, and that would be, honestly, a street-faring Moby Dick. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but Porsche built this crazy 935 that is as long as my dually truck out there. It's absolutely beautiful. And it looks like an exaggerated, you see my 935 that people love, is think of it exaggerated with a tail that's maybe 6 feet longer than what that is back there. Really wide, very aggressive. When you have a chance, look up Porsche Moby Dick. It is an amazing car. And the Moby Dick, maybe because of whales, the tails are really, really crazy. And it's never been on the street. You know, there have been K3Vs on the street, even from Kremer. There have been factory 935s on the street. The two cars that haven't been street faring yet is the 935 M16, which maybe I get to do one day, and the Moby Dick. That would be ultimate. So an ultimate vehicle would be a street faring Moby Dick with full electric and creature comforts in it. That would be the one, you know? Will the AM Infinity pass emissions, says Texas Holyfield, on an ABD test? No. OBD2 test? No. The AM Infinity is purely for off-road use. It is purely a performance ECU. It's a performance engine management system that is, it gives you this high motorsports quality, motorsports accessibility protocols at a sportsman price. So it's for off-road use only. Even when you register to buy it, even when you register to even tune it, you have to fill out a bunch of check marks and information about yourself to let them know that you are going to use it for off-road use only. So it's not for OBD at all, you know? Tom, how did it feel when you turned Jalen into a Honda guy? Well, it felt very good. it was an honor to be able to have Jalen drive a performance Honda, being an all-wheel drive one. He couldn't believe how fast this thing was. And he actually, we don't talk about it, he actually misbehaved. The reason why that episode was so short is he was whooping people on the street, which is crazy. Should I talk about that? But he was really going to town on that thing. And he enjoyed it. He couldn't believe that this fast bar stool existed. And he said it was a bar stool because in the wagon you kind of sit straight up, right? And it's pretty interesting, you know? It's really strange. Oh, and speaking of strange, I don't know if you guys like this shirt. Let me know if you like it. It's a prototype. I don't know if I should bring it to market. Those of you on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. For those of you here, let me know as well. Do you like drag or circuit racing better and why? Says Ghost520. So that's a great question. Good question, Ghost. So I'll share this with you. I honed my teeth, and James is actually, who's here, Mr. JMJ. He is actually my best friend, was my best man at my wedding. He's the one who taught me how to actually install my first engine into my CRX. So he was there from day one. He had a beautiful rotary Mazda, beautiful oxblood cherry black color with some Epsilon wheels, gorgeous. Like if he had that today, it would be so money. But anyway, I digress. He and my good friend Taryn, who also, we all worked at Circuit City, you know, back in the day where services state of the art. We all worked there. They got me into drag racing. Hello, Stacy from South Africa. I hope you, Dad, and Mom are doing well, and sister as well. Stacy was also on the show on Netflix, Hyperdrive. She was a young lady with a BMW who had a challenge with the waterlogging her engine or hydrolocking it, you know. She's great. I love you, Stacy. Good seeing you. But nonetheless, they got me to drag racing. So the entire time I was in college, I drag raced. When I graduated from school, I drag raced. I made my name drag racing, high performance, small displacement, high RPM engines, and breaking records doing it. Never had the opportunity to road race until I bought that. The first car I ever road raced in was that Cayman 987 right there. Changed my life. And what I mean by that? All this time I loved drag racing. And then I road raced, and it's like drag racing on steroids. It's like you keep going and going. It's like, I love the straightaways, I love the slight S's, because I just go crazy. It just reminds me of drag race days. But the weird thing about drag racing, Ghost, is that you and I spend so much money to spend less and less time on the track. Think about it. You spend more money, put more technology, more performance into your car to cut down your time so you spend less time on the track. I started off running 18.4 in my CRX HF, and then when I was done with my CRX, I retired it when I ran 9.7. So I spent all this money in that CRX, going from 18s to 9s, and I spent more money, I spent less time on the track. While road racing, you can go on and on and on and on and on. It's amazing. It's just, and then if you make a mistake, you have time to recover, and it's very competitive, especially if you do something great, burning all your YT. But guess what? Based on that, it's now time for me to bid you guys adieu. This afternoon, I'm going to do a film review on this lovely Taycan Turbo S. If you need more information on it, definitely you can refer to my YouTube page at Bisimoto. Above and beyond that, my friends at Rusnak will be more than happy to help you with this Taycan Turbo S or standard turbo or base model. Great guys. It's an amazing car, and the interior is absolutely, it's so great. I want to take a cue of that take an interior and infuse into my next EV project. It's this nice black and red combination that's so elegant and not overwhelming. You know how some reds are just in your face? This is really nice. Anyway, guys, it's good seeing you. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Stay safe. Stay tuned. Remember what we talked about with the Taycan Turbo S today. Remember what we also talked about remote tuning. Do what's right. Thanks for all the great questions. Thanks for being a great audience. And thanks for participating with me on this 139th episode of the Tech Tuesday. And Sick All-Wheel Drive there saying he wants a t-shirt. For you, I'll put in production. Fine, I'll do it. Thank you so much, guys. Let me know what size you want through DMs, and I'll make it happen. Take care, everyone. Cheers. Have a good one. Bye-bye.